Jnana-kosha, Vedas, Samavedam, by pact. Jnana-kosha, a Sastrapedia of Vedic knowledge, Upanishads, Samaveda based Upanishads.
ओम गणानां त्वा गणपतिगं हवामहे कविं कवीनामुपवज्रवत्तमं ज्येष्ठराजं ब्रह्मणान् ब्रह्मणस्पतकान् शृण्वन्नोतिभिः
Samaveda based Upanishads, Sanyasa Upanishad. Sanyasa Upanishad is out of 108 Upanishads of the Muttika. The largest corpus is dedicated to Sanyasa, or 23 are considered Sanyasa Upanishads. The Rig Veda has Nirvana Upanishad as Sanyasa, Samaveda, Arunya, Maitrayani, Maitreyi, Sanyasa and Kundika. Krishna, Yajurveda, Brahma, Sweta, Varaha, Garbha, Tejo, Bindu, Avabhuta, Varaha and Katarudra. Shukla Yajurveda, Jabala, Paramahamsa, Advaika, Tara, Bhikshu, Tarunya, Yajnavalka, Satyayani, Parivarta. Atharvana Veda, Parivarta, Paramahamsa, Priyajaka, Parabrahma. It starts with the question, given the nature of life, how is joy possible and how can one achieve moksha, liberation? In later sections, it offers a debate on possible answers and its views on sannyasa. In this body infected with passions, anger, greed, delusion, fright, despondency, grudge, separation from what is dear and desirable, attachment to what is not desirable, hunger, thirst, old age, death, illness, sorrow and the rest. How can one experience only joy? Him, the first one, and the three. The drying up of great oceans, the crumbling down of the mountains, the instability of the pole star, the tearing of the wind core, the sinking down, the submergence of the earth, the tumbling down of the gods from their place. In a world in which such things occur, how can one experience only joy? In 1.4. Dragged away and polluted by the river of the gunas, personality, one becomes rootless, tottering, broken down, greedy, uncomposed, and falling in the delusion of consciousness. He imagines, I am this is mine, and binds himself like a bird in the net. Just as the fire without fuel comes to rest in its place, so also the passive mind comes to rest in its source. When its mind is infatuated by the objects of sense, he falls away from truth and acts. Mind alone is the samsara. One should purify it with diligence. You are what your mind is, a mystery, a perpetual one. The mind which is serene cancels all actions and good and bad. He who himself serene remains steadfast. In himself he attains imperishable happiness. Him, Sanyasa Upanishad. Om, let my limbs and speech, prana, eyes, ears, vitality and all the senses grow in strength. All existence is the Brahman of the Upanishad. May I never deny Brahman, nor Brahman deny me. Let there be no denial at all. Let there be no denial at least from me. May the virtues that are proclaimed in the Upanishads be in me. Who am I devoted to the Atman? May they reside in me. Om, let there be peace in me. Let there be peace in my environment. Let there be peace in the forces that act on me. First Adhyaya. Now we shall expound the Upanisjad on renunciation. He who in due order of the sages of life gives up the primary inclinations such as the desire for wealth becomes one who has renounced worldly life. What is this called renunciation? How does one renounce? One who guards himself by the following activities, who has for his renunciation the approval of mother, father, wife, sons, and kinsmen, should assemble all the officiating priests known to him as before, with their approval, perform the Vaishnava Nara sacrifice for the welfare of all people. He shall after partition give away all his wealth to the officiating priest, for the priests are the singers of the Vedic hymns deserving the gift. The 5 vital airs, prana, apana, vayana, udana and samana, shall be symbolically placed in all the sacrificial vessels over the 5 sacred fires, the ahavanya, grahapatya, anvaharapachna, sabhya and avashatya. Shaving off his hair along with the tuft, snapping the sacred thread and seeing his son, he shall consecrate himself with the mantra. You are the God Brahma, you are the sacrifice, you are everything. If he has no son, he should consecrate himself thus and not minding anything, proceed a mendicant monk eastward and or northward. He may receive alms from people of the 4 castes. He should eat from the vessel of his hand. He shall consider food as medicine. He should take food as medicine. In great modern nation, he should eat as and when he gets food without discontent and not asking for more like others. For bare sustenance and in such a way that there is no increase of fat. Having grown lean, he may shelter 1 night in a village, 5 nights in a town. He may reside during the 4 rainy months in a village or town. Interpreting 4 nights as months, he may reside in a fixed abode for 2 months. If he is unable to endure heat or cold, he may accept as gift a tattered garment or bark dress. He shall not accept any other. For penance is to suffer pain with equanimity. What then is the sacred thread? The tuft and the ceremonial sipping of water to one who thus renounces in the prescribed manner and who thus views it in the correct perspective. To him the questioner is this reply. This is his sacred thread, namely that he meditates on the Atman, the practice of Brahma Yudhya, in the tuft, that he quenches his thirst with the vessel of his belly, accomplishes the ceremonial duty with water that is present everywhere. His residence is at the bank of a reservoir of water. When the sun has set, how can he ceremoniously sip water? As he touches water during day, so at night, for he has neither night nor day. The enlightened ascetic is above the restrictions of time. This has been said by the Vedic sage in a mantra. To him there is only one time, the day. He who knows that realizes the Atman through this renunciation. Second Adhyaya. That person alone is entitled to renunciation who has undergone the 40 purificatory rites, samskaras, has detachment from all worldly things, has acquired purity of mind, has burnt out desires, envy, intolerance, and egoism, and is equipped with the 4 disciplines of spiritual life, sadhanas. Having resolved on renunciation, he who does not embrace it shall perform the penance, prajapatya, alone as an atonement. Thereafter he is entitled to renounce the world. One who, having resolved on renunciation later, denounces it, one who supports a fallen ascetic as if he were genuine, and one who throws obstacles in the path of those desiring renunciation. These three classes of people are to be known as fallen. Now, these persons, though possessing dispassion, are not entitled to renunciation. A yonch, a fallen man, a maimed person, woman, a deaf person, a child, a dumb person, a heretic, an informer, a student who has not completed his study, a Vaikhanasa anchorite belonging to a Vaishnava sect, an ardent Saivite, Haradvija, a salaried teacher, a man without pre-pause and one without ritual fire. Even if they renounce the world, they are not entitled to instruction in the great scriptural texts such as that thou art. The son of one who has fallen from ascetic grace, one having disease of the nails, one who is brown-toothed, a consumptive as well as a deformed person, these are never entitled to renounce. One should never allow renunciation to those who have just settled as householders, those who have committed great sins, those who have lost caste due to non-performance of the principal purificatory rites, and the accused. Again, one should never allow renunciation to one who is devoid of religious observances, religious acts, penance, charity, offering oblations in ritual fire, and study of scriptures, and those fallen from truth and purity. These do not deserve to renounce, and no one can dispense with the due order except one sorely afflicted. The person entitled to renounce should discard his stuffed reciting Om Bhuva Swaha, saying the mantra. The sacred thread shall not remain externally. Grant me fame, strength, spiritual wisdom, dispassion and intelligence. He shall snap the sacred thread and leave it in the waters along with his garment and waistband, muttering Om Swaha. Then he should repeat thrice, I have renounced. Seeing a Brahmana who has renounced the world, the sun moves from his place, thinking, this person will reach Brahman, breaking through my disk. That wise man who says, I have renounced, raises to glory 60 generations of his family before him and 60 generations after him. All the defects born of bad sons and all defects born of bodily weakness, the praise fire at the time of renunciation shall burn out, just as the fire of Shah does to gold. Reciting the mantra, friend, guard me. He, the renouncer, shall accept the emblematic staff. The ascetic should bear a staff which shall be of bamboo, smooth whole, with the bark of even joints, grown in holy ground and cleaned of all defects. It shall be unscared by forest fire, uninjured by worms, shining with its joints of length reaching up to the nose, head, or the eyebrows. Close association is always enjoined between the staff and the person. A wise man shall not move without the staff a distance 3 times that of an arrow throw. Reciting the mantra, you are the receptacle of water which sustains the world. Never say nay to me. You who are always agreeable to all, he should receive the water vessel and invested with the yogic garment. As aid to meditation, he shall go about in an agreeable frame of mind. Give up concepts of righteousness and unrighteousness, dharma and adharma. Give up both truth and untruth. Having given up both truth and untruth, discard that by which you abandon all these. Duality. Ascetic due to dispassion, ascetic due to spiritual wisdom, ascetic due to wisdom and dispassion, and ascetic due to renunciation of action. These are the 4 kinds of ascetics obtained. This is how it is. He is the ascetic due to dispassion, who has become indifferent to sensory objects that are seen or heard of, and who has renounced the world due to the influence of good actions done previously. He alone is the ascetic due to jnana, who being dead to worldly life due to the true knowledge of the scripture and listening to the experiences of the people in sin and goodness, and who having discarded lingering attachment to the body, scripture and the world, and considering as worthless like vomit all worldly actions, possesses the fourfold discipline in spiritual life and then renounces the world. Having studied in the prescribed manner all scriptures and experienced all life, he is the ascetic due to jnana, and in dispassion who has his body alone left to him by meditation on the nature of the self due to jnana and dispassion, and then renounces and becomes unclad as he was when born. Having completed the period of celibate studentship, becoming a householder, and then embracing the stage of forest life vanaprastha, he who renounces the world only in order to observe the order of the stages of life, even though without dispassion, is the ascetic who renounces action. Renunciation is of 6 kinds, and the ascetics are called Kutichaka, Bahudhaka, Hamsa, Paramahamsa, Turyatita, and Advaduta. The Kutichaka ascetic has tuft and sacred thread, wears a staff and water vessel, wears a lion cloth and patched garment, is devoted to the service of father, mother, and preceptor, is equipped with a vessel, spade, sling, and alone is addicted to eating food in one place, wears on the forehead a perpendicular mark of white sandal, and holds a threefold emblematic staff. The Bahudaka ascetic wears stuff, etc., patched garment, and 3 horizontal lines of holy ash on his forehead, and is similar in all respects to the Kuchitaka ascetic, that he subsists on 8 mouthfuls of food gathered as alms from 8 houses, as a bead, as honey. The Hamsa ascetic wears matter hair, puts on the forehead the mark of either the horizontal lines of holy ash or the perpendicular one of sandal, subsists on food gathered as alms without restriction, and wears a piece of lion cloth. The Paramahamsa ascetic is devoid of tuft and sacred thread, receives alms in the vessel of his hand, wears a single lion cloth, has a single patched garment, 1 bamboo staff, either wears a single garment or is smeared with holy ashes, and has discarded all possessions and attachment. The Turtiyatita ascetic subsists of fruits, receiving them in his mouth like a cow. If he eats cooked rice, he receives them as alms from 3 houses. He has his body alone left to him, without any possessions and attachment. He is unclad, dressed by the points of the compass, and treats his body as if it were a corpse. The Avadhuta ascetic has no fixed rules. He eats food like a python, as and when he gets it from persons of all castes except those who are fallen or accursed, and is ever intent on meditation on the nature of the self. I am not surely of this world consisting of trees, grass, and mountains. How can I, the Supreme Being, be this external phenomena which is intensely abundant? I am not the body which is non-sentient and perishable in a short time. I am not the sound which is non-sentient, coming from void and of the form of void, and which remains for a short period, grasped by the inert cavity of the ear. I am not the touch which is non-sentient, but which has life granted to it by the favor of consciousness, and which can be experienced by skin of momentary existence and in no other way. I am not the taste which is non-sentient, dependent on matter and of short duration, insignificant and brought into existence by the fickle tongue aided by the fickle mind. I am not the form Rupa which is non-sentient, non-existent in the soul witness, Brahman, perishable and which rests on sight, and the object of sight which has but momentary existence. I am not the smell which is non-sentient, subtle and of indefinable form, and brought into existence by the perishable nose which is dead to smell. I am pure consciousness alone which is devoid of parts, mindness and thought, and which is quiescent and beyond the delusions of the five senses. I am consciousness alone, devoid of a place of worship, and I am illuminator, omnipresent, externally and internally, devoid of parts and stain, the light of distinctional less consciousness, all pervading and one alone. It is only by me, the consciousness, that all things such as pots and garments up to the sun are illuminated by self-effulgence as by a lamp. It is only by me, with my inwardly shining effluence, that the various senses are active, such as the mouths of sparks shine due to fire which is blazing within. Salutation. Salutation is myself alone, who am I present in all other beings, and consist of consciousness free from the restrictions of an object to be known, and am the form of individual self-consciousness. The various clearly seen powers, such as those of earth, are really rendering variegated by consciousness which is free of change, one whole and free from the limitation of time and parts. Of consciousness which is beyond the three durations of past, present and future, is devoid of the restriction of perceivability of objects, and which discards individuality of the soul. There remains the oneness alone of the self and Brahman. Indeed, the same consciousness, being beyond the reach of the words, seemed to remain as having reached the state of the conclusion of selfishness, state of non-duality, as if it were eternal non-existence. The same consciousness, slightly encompassed by impurities of desires and non-desires, is unable to rise high like a female bird bound by a string. People overcome by the delusion caused by the pairs of opposites, which is born of desire and hatred, become similar to worms which are sunk in the cavities of the earth. Salutation to Atman, to you who are non-different from consciousness. I am now seized of the truth. I am awakened. I have risen above delusion. I am lifted up from doubts. I am what I am. Salutation to you and to me, the eternal, to you and to me, consisting of consciousness. Salutation to you, the Supreme God, and salutations to me, the Shiva. Though seated, the Atman is not seated. Though going, he does not go. Though quiescent, he is engaged in activities. Though performing action, he is not tainted. He is eminently accessible. He is easily known like a close kinsman. He is the bee in the interior of the lotus of the body of all.